When we get stuck in a particular problem, we often find ourselves claiming, oh, I've tried everything. But no matter how hard it is to see or how difficult it is to make that shift, the solution to most of our problems comes down to just one thing: our own perspective. We're talking about Superliminal. What's up, everybody? Welcome to 3VO, where we're all on the same team. I'm your host today, Jordan.
And I'm your other host, Brendan.
And we are just two big old nerds that just love video games. So if you two just have an insane love of video games like we do, this is definitely the podcast for you. And we're so happy you guys are here with us. We're going to be talking about an incredibly underrated sleeper game that we both just discovered recently, Superliminal. But before we get into all that, let's do a check-in. Brendan, how are you?
I'm tired.
Yeah? I'm pretty sure it's the general vibe for the whole podcast today, honestly.
The Halloween weekend was quite intense. Do you know the gif of the little girl and she's sitting in the back of her car and she's just kind of got like makeup smeared across her face?
And she's kind of sleepily just like looking out like, what?
That's me right now.
Yeah. No.
It was a great weekend, a great party that you and I both went to.
Fantastic weekend, a great party, something I truly needed. It was just time to just be able to go out and just like have fun and drink more than I needed to.
Same here, to be perfectly honest.
I get completely dressed up. Hence why today's look for me is a little more muted than it normally is for the podcast. It's because today I was just like, I don't want to put on makeup. I don't want to really do my hair. I don't want to do nail polish.
I know, it's weird. I'm the one wearing nail polish this
It's true,
week.
and it's a great color. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but he has a great color on, and his hair looks wonderful too. I don't know how much that picks up on camera because it's dark, but...
Well, it doesn't pick up at all for our audio-only listener.
That's also
You'll
fair.
just have to imagine an incredibly handsome gentleman with blue hair and dark green nail polish.
I'm sitting here and I can tell you it's not just imagination.
Other than that, I mean, the Halloween weekend, yes, came and passed. I have been very busy, just with life and planning my wedding. It's kind of like my new baseline.
Kind of
right
takes precedent over a lot of other things at the moment. Is just planning for the wedding.
Yes. I have been playing a lot of Pokemon Unite still.
Yes, there we go.
I got to the end of a battle pass, Jordan. I am so fucking stoked.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool.
So do you know in like what's another game with a battle pass? Like Destiny.
Oh yeah.
It's like you pay for, or it's like you can pay for a pass. And then as you like level up in the season, you get rewards at certain increments.
I see.
Things like that. Well, Pokemon Unite has one, and I bought it, and I made it to the end, which is great, because normally I buy a battle pass for something, and then I forget about it. So it was nice to get past level 5,
there you go.
and get all the way up to level 60. So
nice. Any time put into the new Animal Crossing update yet, or is that still kind of...
No, the update's not out yet.
Oh, it's not?
Actually,
oh, okay.
No, not quite yet.
Oh, okay, because the wife has been playing the shit out of Animal Crossing game lately, so I just assumed it was already out, and that's why she was playing.
Not quite yet. I believe that comes out on November the 7th?
Something.
Which will be in the past once this episode airs.
Definitely.
So
yes.
Am I playing it now? Maybe.
Yeah. We're also on a slightly different recording schedule just because of the way that things worked out. I think it was partially because we wanted to make sure we got the one episode out for Halloween.
Yes. And we also wanted to debacle that was.
Oh my god. Apologies. We didn't know. We didn't realize what happened. We're still figuring it out. We talked about this off camera, but I'm just so bummed on that one because I was like, we both got like in costume and dressed up and shit.
I know.
Looks
well,
so good.
It just means that next year's Halloween episode will have to be that much more spectacular.
Oh, we're gonna go all out for next year's Halloween episode.
Absolutely.
For sure. But it's okay because we also did get me scaring the shit out of you on camera.
That's true.
That's good. That's all I was really worried about.
That was all.
That was all. Once we got past that, whatever. The camera dipping into frame.
The microphone.
The microphone, excuse me, sorry.
Who's now just part of the podcast.
Yeah, we just said let's just eliminate the problem altogether. Just put it here.
It's an easy solution to what shouldn't have been a problem at all.
Really shouldn't have been that big of an issue.
What have you been up to, Jordy?
Same thing from that, just pretty much the same, other than planning a wedding.
Mm.
So not the same thing at all, really. No, I'm finishing off my time off from work. This is my last full day off. I have all day tomorrow, but I go at 11:30 tomorrow night to get back at work, which is it's fine. I had a whole week off, which was great, and it was fun, and I got to go out and do things, and I just to mention and getting in to go out to the party the other night. So I went 2 parties back to back. And
like literally the same night back.
Literally the same night back to back, and I was worried that it's just especially with the year of COVID, it's just I haven't done any real partying or hanging out in a long time. So it was I didn't want to pass out at 10 o'clock and be the fucking lame kid at the party,
Yeah.
But it was just it got to 2 a.m. and I was like, do we have to leave though? Because I'm still having a good time. It was that social, that true extrovert battery got fucking recharged that night, and it was so nice to have.
It was a great party.
It was an excellent,
really
excellent
nice to get
fucking
out.
party.
In a safe way.
In a completely safe way. Absolutely.
I did 2 parties, but on 2 separate nights. So I was up until 3 a.m. One night, and then up until 4 a.m. the next night.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you still had to make the drive all the way back home.
And we got stuck in traffic too.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there was a big accident on the way home.
We should have just had you guys crash. And just had you go home in the morning.
Ah, but my bad.
Yeah, but we got food in the morning. We got real good food in the morning, so. Yeah. There's this little shop next to us that does sandwiches, but they make it in a waffle iron.
Oh.
So it's waffle sandwiches and
waffle paninis.
You want exactly? It's waffle paninis, and they were so fucking good.
Man, well, you're gonna have to throw a party, and you're gonna have to let me crash so that I can have these waffle paninis the next morning.
Fucking twist my arm, why don't you?
All right.
Now that we've got all the pleasantries out of the way, let's move on to our main topic, which is the puzzle game Superliminal. So Superliminal is a game developed by Pillow Castle Games, which is one of my favorite developer company names so far. And it is a first-person puzzle game that allows players to explore a surreal world by manipulating objects in physical space according to their perspective. The main tagline for the game is "Perception is reality." So we discovered this game in an interesting way. It was literally after we recorded the last episode. We were getting pizza and just hanging out for a little bit, and we were just going through the Game Pass library and seeing what was there, and somebody looked over and saw Superliminal and was and I think I or you had said oh, I've looked at that, I don't know what it is, it just looked interesting.
It wasn't me. I had not heard of it.
Somebody said something.
Yeah.
Somebody said something about going oh, I've heard about this, and we watched the trailer for it, and we're immediately just okay, we gotta try this thing out.
Yeah.
At least it might be a cool thing to talk about for the podcast. And within about 30 minutes of me playing it, I think I had messaged you and just gone, this is now one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
It's such a good it's just this one is gonna be especially, by the way, the flashbacks to just any of the other ones where he's particularly talking about games. It's so fucking good. That's all I want to say. It's just how fucking good this game is.
Flashback to the Mass Effect 1 episode where we're just it's so good, it's so good.
That, or I'd say Spiritfarer was another one where we just waxed about how much we fucking loved it. So, and just ever since playing it, all I've been doing whenever I talk about games is just recommending to everybody how fucking good I think this game is.
Yeah, absolutely. It was so. I've never played a game quite like Superliminal. The way that it forced you to look at things and changed things up and established rules so that it could later break them.
That's one of my favorite things about it, though.
It's just incredible. No, absolutely. It's wonderful.
It was first the game had to do the job of breaking you of how you perceive things in the game based on how you think about things. And then it took how you took those things and then flipped it again. But not in a way that it's a puzzle game. There's a frustration that's kind of inherent in that style.
Right.
But not in a way that made me want to put it down. It made me go, God damn it! Okay, that was cool though. Let's keep going.
That's the thing. Every puzzle, once you solved it, I always left feeling man, that was really cool.
It had that perfect thing for any game, and because there's some games that have this issue. Games that I love have this issue. Is that it is the satisfaction, we talked about this in a previous episode, I feel but the satisfaction of figuring out a puzzle
Mhm.
is the eureka moment.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Of going like, I got it. Oh, yes, and I was right. Like, that's what it is. It's not the door opening.
Right.
It's not getting to the other side. That's not, like, that should happen.
Mhm.
Like, I expect that to happen. What I love about puzzle games with, like, this and Portal and certain other titles that I'm forgetting right now, I apologize. But it is that, it's so gratifying, that moment of just going like, oh shit, I figured it out.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And I did it. And just like the way you had to figure stuff out, like, just to kind of start going through some moments. And this is in the trailer, so this isn't super spoilery. However, we will be talking about the story in this game. So just real quick, we haven't done an episode about a particular game in a while. So just real quick, major spoiler warnings from here on out.
Spoilers always. There you are.
And it's also like, the game is not a super long game.
No, not at all.
I think I blew through it in a couple hours, honestly.
Yeah, 3 hours tops.
3 hours tops. Totally worth it, though. It's free on Game Pass if you got it, and I can't imagine it's too expensive on anything else.
I don't even know if it's on anything else.
It is. Look, it's on. It's on Steam. It's on the Xbox. It's on the PlayStation.
Okay.
It's on the Switch. So like,
Oh, okay.
pretty much any way you want to buy a game, you can buy this game.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It can't be that much, though.
I
A couple
can't
bucks
imagine it
at
would be.
most. And honestly, for like
Worth the money, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely worth the money.
For-
Not trying to say like it's.
for 3 hours of entertainment, like
Mhm.
yeah, totally.
Definitely. But there's a part in the trailer that was a moment in the game that was cool, in which I looked out of a window and I plucked the moon out of the sky and just put it on the ground in front of me. And I knew there was something I had to do with it in the game, but for a minute I just was just like, I just pulled the moon out. like it was a ball about that big.
Yeah.
But then the moon had a door on it, so then I had to make the moon big enough for me to get onto it to walk through the door.
Wait, you made the moon big?
Oh no, I pulled the door off and then I...
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I pulled the door off.
Oh no! First I tried. First I was like, "Do I have to make the moon big again and get onto the moon?" And I was like, "No, hold on, click." Oh, okay, no, never mind. That makes way more sense.
So we should maybe explain the mechanics of this game a little bit for anybody that
Let's go over that
might
first.
not
Yeah,
have played
yeah,
it,
yeah,
because
yeah.
it probably sounds quite strange. We're talking about making the moon big and shit. So
Yeah.
the central conceit of the game is you can interact with lots of different objects that are scattered throughout the game,
Mhm.
being blocks, doors, chess pieces, lots of different things. And the idea is that when you pick up the object, it stays at its relative size that you're viewing it at. But if you start to, like, if you pick it up and then you look across the room, say, and you let go, it'll be large and it'll be across the room.
Mhm.
Like, so, and if you, similarly, if you are looking at it from far away and it's big, but you're far away so it looks small, and you pick it up, you can like put it down elsewhere and it'll be small. It's
It'll
like
be really, really tiny. Yeah.
it's like a little difficult to explain, and I don't think I did a very effective job right there.
I do think you did good. I think I've got a very good way to put it. It's like, so if you're
Yeah.
watching, if you're watching the video of this audio, this might be a little confusing, but we have the microphone right in front of us here. So now in the game mechanics, if I pick this up where it is, but I wanted to set it down across the room for me, the microphone would be as big as it looks in my perspective right now, so it would fill up the rest of Brendan's hallway across from me, basically.
Right, yeah.
Is kind of how that works.
That
I don't
was
know
a
if that
good-
makes it any more clear, but
No, that was a pretty good explanation. Watch the trailer and you'll know exactly
You'll
what we're
understand
talking
exactly
about.
what we're trying to say here.
It's pretty evident from the trailer.
Yeah.
And this leads to lots of really cool moments in the game where you have to make big things smaller, make smaller things bigger. There's lots of doorways that you have to go throughout the game, and some of those you can blow up, and then the room that you're walking through is humongous.
the stuff with going into a room after I made the door bigger so I could get through it, and then finding myself surrounded by like giant chairs and books and shit.
Yeah.
I was just like delighted.
Yeah,
Just delighted. Because it was like, that little detail to pay off is so fucking nice.
Mm-hmm.
And just so clear that just like the people who worked on this game thought of pretty much fucking
Mm-hmm.
everything. Like no thought or stone left unturned.
Yeah.
As far as like game design and mechanics and whatnot go.
I love that it was all really smooth too. At no point was the game like trying to like process that you've made another room massive or super small.
It was
or
super
anything
clean.
like that. Super clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At one point, I thought that the game was lagging a little bit, but then I looked around and I was kind of like, oh no, I'm just very, very tiny, moving through a very large space, so everything
Yeah.
takes me longer to get across like this small area
Mm-hmm.
because I'm going centimeters, but to my perspective, I'm going miles.
Right. Exactly. And the whole game has this pretty cool, I think, story, maybe a little predictable, but a cool frame story that's kind of happening around it, and a lot of what I would call like Portal-esque humor. It's sprinkled throughout.
The way that I put it, it's like if Portal was written by the Monty Python team, because that's slightly not quite meta, but like I don't know, a little bit more tongue in cheek. I would say no. A better example would be something a bit more like Invader Zim, I think.
Okay.
Like the commentary is kind of on the surface, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But there's a shot from, I don't know if you ever watched the show growing up, but there's a shot from Invader Zim where it shows a cop just like arresting a little kid, and he just goes, "I'll teach you for standing around doing nothing." Like it's that kind of. To me, it kind of falls in line with that kind of humor because you have that AI whose name escapes me. I didn't put it in the fucking outline.
I don't know that it got a name.
I don't know if it did. You have this sort of Gladys-esque like AI guy throughout the game who is this sort of just like through no fault of your own, things seem to kind of be going wrong around you in the middle of this sleep study program on drugs that you're in the middle of, kind of.
Yeah,
the
it's
whole
like a lucid dreaming sleep study, and the program it puts you in. You're like in full control of your lucid dream. Yeah. And that's where you get the conceit of like, oh, we can fuck with your perspective and things can be, you know, bigger or smaller, whatever. And that's where that all stems from. But it's also like a frame that they put you in. Yeah. At least, you know, that's what it appears to be. Because you're going through like this facility type thing, but you know that you're dreaming, but lucid dreaming. But then you get to the end of like the first level.
But it's also set up with like stage lights, and you can see like where like the frames on the side of the set end and stuff like that. So you're like, but it's a dream. So why do you need to make it look like it's not fully functional?
So play the game and listen to the ending, and you'll know.
It is
because that explains it.
Brilliant the way the storyline unfolds in front of you. It's so good, and it gives you these little hints. Like I walk through one door and I just peeked around something that I ended up having to knock a wall down later on at the very beginning of the game. But I was just like, oh, there's some backstage stuff. Okay, this is going to be like a Portal-esque thing where eventually I figure out that there's some behind-the-scene work shit. And it does that, and I'm going to keep making the Portal comparison, and I apologize, because I don't want to imply that the game is like ripping anything off or like riding on the coattails. It's entirely its own thing. Absolutely. That's just the next best example that I have to compare a lot of this stuff to. Because then immediately after I was like, oh, we're doing a Portal thing later on. Okay, cool. I just knocked the wall down immediately, and I was able to run around in like what I thought was the backstage area, and I was just like, oh, never mind, we're doing something different. My bad. Sorry, guys. My apologies.
Totally.
I made an assumption, my fault.
And then you spend like half of the game kind of in that like backstagey area, and as well as going through the facilities like rooms.
Yeah.
So
going back and forth between being reassured by the doctor who you assume is in charge of the project via these little messages left on these stereos that get left around, and also being horribly condescended and talked down to by the AI, which is fucking fantastic. I have so many notes that is just like catching the radios and me just going, not very reassuring, Glenn. It's not really helping me out too much.
No. It's really unhelpful, the doctor, actually.
He's not great.
No.
Being reassuring in any way or like actually helping guide you through. Because you get led to believe that you're in a situation in which that whatever program you're in is like broken in some way.
Or you've like gone too far or something.
You've gone too far, you've done something wrong.
Yeah.
There's a moment where I thought it was going to turn into a straight up horror game.
Yes, level 3. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was like, what are we doing now?
The game gets dark, the music changes, and you start following this trail of red liquid on the ground, and you're going like, am I following what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
How did this happen? Wait, but this is my dream. How did this happen in my dream without me knowing?
It took a totally like 180 tone shift.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we were in like Outlast, honestly.
For a little bit, it felt like it. Yeah, it was like shit's gonna start coming at me. I'm gonna have to start running away from like a dream monster that my guy has stuck in his psyche. Fuck, what do I do? Yeah. And then you go through another room and you find out it's a fucking bucket of paint.
Yeah.
And I just like I put down my remote for a minute and I was just like not cool, game.
I was so relieved.
Like awesome, but not cool.
I was so relieved. It was so great.
No, it's brilliant and I love it, but also that wasn't cool, man.
But
I got so geared up to be like, this is a horror game now. All right.
But it fucked with your perspective.
It really did, and it
it
did that mean thing where just like where genius shit does, especially with games where it's just kind of like, we're gonna make it seem like you're in control, but we know what you're gonna do. We're gonna set this up well enough to know exactly what it is that you're gonna do. Something for me too, especially when it comes to puzzle games and puzzle mechanic games, is that I kind of touched on it a little bit in the beginning, but I just want to make sure that like we kind of hone it on a little bit. Is that while I'll admit, and partially because I was concerned about making sure that we got this thing done in time for the podcast, was that I had to look up a couple puzzles to know like what was I supposed to do. But even when I did that, as soon as I saw what they were doing, I went, duh, okay, no, that makes sense. It always came down to, and something the game talks about a lot, is that it always defaults on how you're viewing things and your perspective on things. I just needed to literally shift my own perspective on the situation, and I would have been okay. But even with doing that, I never felt like I had to like the solution was always clear by the time that I got there. You know what I mean? Like I never felt like I had to I was glitching my way out or just button mashing until I found the right button or something like that. It was just it was very clear and very laid out for here's how you do this and here's the solution. Because I've played other, I can't remember what it was called, but there's another one done by one of the guys who worked on the first Portal game. He left and did a different game. I can't remember the name of it. And it was cool for a bit, but there was just so many moments where it was just I'm just going to stack blocks until I get out of this room, or I'm just going to keep rotating with this physics that isn't supposed to be working in the game until I move on to the next part. It was just I don't like puzzle games that if the solution isn't clear enough for me, or obvious, or not obvious, but if it isn't laid out well enough, that I'm just going to break your game until you let me out, basically.
Yeah.
But there was never a moment like that in this game. There were definitely moments where you're sitting there just going what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
As all good puzzles should have. But beyond that, it was just, I don't know, I can't speak highly enough about the level design in this game. It was absolutely fucking brilliant.
I would like to just echo kind of similarly to your last point, but on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Okay.
There's not more than one way to do a lot of those puzzles.
Oh, of course. Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's not like a Breath of the Wild shrine where you could just fuck around until you get to the end by accident, or silly things like that. Well, I mean, it's like a similar but opposite-ended point, because what you're saying is there's not a way to force it.
Yeah.
You're not banging your head against the wall.
Yeah.
But also, it's not so free that you could not do the puzzle at all and still get through the room.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get you.
It's there is a clearly defined puzzle that you have to solve, and you have to do it the correct way, and you're not gonna, hate yourself in the end when you solve it, and it's not gonna take you too long.
Yeah.
None of the puzzles, I felt like I was bashing my head against the wall for a long time.
I think
only the hallway one.
Yeah, the hallway one was difficult, just because in terms of again, it was such a shift in how you looked at that one puzzle compared to the other puzzles you were doing. Because I spent time on that one going am I supposed to grab something? Is there an object I'm moving here? But then it was just it was really just how I moved through the room was just the issue there.
Right. Which is genius. There was a lot of diversity in the puzzles.
That's the thing too, is that there wasn't only the one as brilliant as it is, Portal comes down to where do you put portals, how do you move through with things, and how do you work with the physics in the room and whatnot.
Yeah.
Mostly. I understand there's in Portal 2, there's a lot of other stuff happening too, but the basic point of Portal is get through the room using portals. That's the baseline for it. With this, there were so many different ways that there were so many different everything made sense for the mechanics in the game, but there were so many different puzzle mechanics in the game at a certain point. That made sense for the game, but there was never other than manipulating some of the object perspective stuff, nothing felt super repetitive either, too.
No. They somehow nailed getting a lot of complexity with only giving you one tool, which is you can pick things up and you can shift their perspective and you can make them bigger or smaller, basically. And that was that's the only thing in your toolkit, really.
Yeah.
Other than that, they just fuck with you in different ways.
The way the game just messed with my brain throughout the entire time, and just the first time I was looking, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's early on in the game. It's after you get through moving. It's the first time they introduce the chess pieces and you move them and the shift in perspective and make them bigger and smaller, like we were talking about. Yeah. You go down to a different hallway, and I was looking down the hall, and I was giant chess piece blocking my way in the hallway. Let me just grab that. Why can't I grab the chess piece? Yeah. And then you move a little bit, and it's not a giant chess piece. It's painted onto the floor and onto the wall in such a way that it looks like there's a giant chess piece sitting there. And I was are you fucking kidding me?
Yep.
But then later on, they had that with a block painted on a different perspective for the wall. And once I landed up, I got to pull the block out of the fucking wall.
Yep. Genius.
So fucking genius.
Incredible. I'd like to talk about the part towards the end of the game where you get bamboozled by that same mechanic. Where...
Which part? You got to remind me.
Okay, so it's kind of towards the end of the game, and you walk into a room, and you can see, like, one of those blocks painted on the wall.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, I know what I gotta do. I gotta go line it up. So you're looking, and you're lining it up, and you're like, okay, it's almost there. I just gotta back up. Boo! And you fall down. Yeah. Was so mad.
It's so infuriating because it's one of those things we talked about. It's kind of like the game fucking knew I was going to do that.
Exactly.
And that's really annoying.
It established something so that it could fuck with you later.
It's so good.
It's so good.
It's in that sense, the game is a masterclass in like knowing how to manipulate your fucking players.
Absolutely.
In the best way, but in the way that like I'm still satisfied with it because I was just like, well fucking done.
It's kind of the what am I trying to say? Remember how in the Outlast episode I was talking about how like in like the very first part of the game it teaches you that you can cycle through like the like tight spaces.
Yeah.
And so like the first time you go through you're like, I've learned how to do this thing, and then the second time you go through you start to go through and then that guy gets you and then you're ruined for the rest of the game. It's like that.
I was just gonna say it does a similar thing to like what horror games do with the scares in their games, is that it manipulates you in I say manipulation, but that's because I don't know a better word for it than like the guiding more, I guess would be a better way to put it than manipulation. But
Training,
there we go. Grooming, if you will.
Yikes.
No.
Short.
Sorry, I'm sorry. It's a horrible comparison
that
to make.
was terrible.
It's awful. I don't know why I did that. I'm so sorry, everybody. It's the timestamp. No, leave it in. Learn from my mistakes.
So anyway,
back onto this game that doesn't involve anything like that at all. But it is that certain way that the game can guide you in the direction that it wants you to go in, and you follow without realizing it. And then when you get to what the payoff is of what it's trying to do there, it either with that and Outlast or the falling through moment, it's like it's a moment of what the fuck. Oh, okay, I see you.
Yeah.
Like, nice, well done. That was good. I like that though. I just want to kind of chat a little bit about just like the actual plot of it, because it's so simple, but it's so smart and clever to me, because we haven't really gone over it a whole lot though. From what I know, from what I got from the game anyway, the conceit is that you have signed up for some sort of like a dream therapy kind of thing, where it's like you're guided through this like dream therapy session in which that you manipulate objects and do stuff, and it's all about changing your perspective and learning about a new perspective and da-da-da-da. To the point of which that, I don't know if you caught the very beginning of the game, but you can actually sign a fucking waiver.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Yeah, I turned on, I was like, what the fuck is this? And it said sign, and I went...
So let me ask you
okay.
So I need to ask you something, Jordan. Did you do a full 180 of the room and realize that the door appeared out of nowhere before you signed the thing?
Oh, no. I looked around and saw the door start heading out, and then turned around and be like, I should look around the room a little bit more.
Because It starts you off facing a wall, and then you turn around 180, and you see the paper. And I was like, I'm going to get back to that. And I did another rotation, and then the door appeared.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, okay. And then I went over to the paper, and I signed it. And then I was like, I get what they were trying to do, but the flag was mismarked in the coding, or whatever, you know. But, like, I see what you're trying to do here. I was supposed to turn around, sign the paper, and then the door appears. So I fucked that up.
Or maybe you could play the whole game without signing the waiver, and then...
Weird, I guess.
And then I wonder if there's like a thing where it's like the AI is kind of like, well, we would be at risk if something happened to you, but you didn't sign, so...
No, probably they are at risk because you didn't
It would be
sign.
the other way. Yeah, you're right.
Probably,
I just remembered how waivers work.
Yeah. We're learning so much.
Oops, my bad. But, and then as the game starts and as it slowly progresses through, you kind of, you get this idea that, like, there's something wrong. You're getting to areas you think you're not supposed to be in. The AI and the doctor start coming in and explaining it's kind of like you're in an area that you're not supposed to be in. There's stuff happening that we never predicted were going to happen. And so it starts off in this great way because you as a player immediately are invested because you're like, okay, well now I got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the alternative is because I've never done this before. But let the fuck I go. I guess I don't know. Like,
Yeah. I'm only going the only way I can.
Yeah. And then the AI's young age is kind of like, you weren't supposed to do that way, and just kind of like, fuck, what else do you want me to do here, lady?
Yeah. So you keep going, and you get through all these different levels. And I caught the impression that it was kind of like you were going through like levels of consciousness. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
That was kind of what I got at first. Yeah.
It seems like you get deeper and deeper as you like go through.
There's definitely an element to that too.
The first level is kind of like logic, so kind of like surface level, and then I can't recall what the second level was, but then the third level was like a scary level, so I was like, okay, that's kind of like fears.
Oh,
and so I think
okay.
Yeah, there's layers to this game.
Oh no, for sure. I was just blown away by the fucking game. I wasn't thinking about all of that.
But then you get to like the last level of the game, which is the white space. No spoilers. Or are we spoiling? What are we doing?
We're spoiling it because I want to talk about the ending of the game.
Oh, for sure.
So fucking brilliant.
Well, then this is your last chance. Get out if you're gonna play this game. We're about to talk about the very end.
Because it does have a really good turnaround at the end. That is
yeah.
really, really interesting.
So this is your last warning.
This is it. We're gonna get
there. But yeah, so you get to the very last level of the game, which is this big open kind of white expanse, and I kind of understood that to be like the font of like where all like ideas and thoughts and images like come from.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
That's it, like a sandbox.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what I got out of it.
I see that because it's just this wide open white expanse with just like what seems to be like random like objects and shit coming into it.
Yeah.
Oh, so here's my thought then.
Yeah.
Is it so okay? So in the story of the game, as the universe is established in the game, this is a sort of set up therapy session done through your own dreams. Does that mean, in theory, in this world, because you kind of get this idea because you wake up in a room and there's other rooms around you, like different suites and whatnot, that if you were in that for somebody else's dream, would it be the same objects? Because you're in their psyche. Because, like, for whoever, the perspective is of who you're playing as, which is you, of course. Right. But in that perspective, it's blocks and balls and chess pieces and, like, things like that. Would it be different for somebody else?
Maybe.
Like, is somebody else just stuck on, like, a field of that old vibrating football, like, playing field that they used to have back in the day, and just having to figure out how to move through all that and move pieces and players and shit around?
Yeah.
That's
I think that it's kind of individualized for everybody because, and I'll tell you why to support the theory even more. The spaces that the character like moves through are a little too specialized, if you ask me. There's like a very particular like hotel environment.
Oh yeah,
and a museum kind of environment.
Yeah.
And like that big dining hall, the scary level, you know.
Yeah.
It just seems a little too individualized. It's not general enough, I think, to be completely fabricated by the Somnosculpt
for sure
entity.
I will say on that, I do know that the game was originally going to be known as Museum of Simulation Technology, so that might kind of be the inception for where the museum thing comes from. But it does still make sense, and I do like that idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the environments are a little bit more specialized for everybody.
I see that. I like it that way though. Yeah. I would like to see if obviously this doesn't exist, but I like to see a superliminal from like a different like psyche's perspective or something, like somebody with like severe trauma or something, how they would perceive that world and the kind of stuff that they would create within that and whatnot. Just hook me up to the machine. Just hook any of our friends up to the machine and you'll get something.
All of those. But tell us about the ending, like the ending.
The ending is fucking crazy. So you're going through and you think especially once you get to the white zone stuff, you kind of, my assumption when I first got there was that I was kind of like, I'm definitely in an area where I shouldn't be. I'm in not game breaking territory in the sense of like it being a video game, but like in terms of like whatever like simulation or like technology I'm involved in and whatnot. Like I'm fucking something up, and something is eventually going to tell me I need to stop and turn around and go somewhere else. But you start finding those little radios, like I mentioned before, with the doctor who's in charge of the whole thing, talking you through all this stuff, and at first it's very infuriating. I got very, very mad at first. Because at first he starts off by explaining that everything that has happened was designed on purpose, even freaking you out and making you think like you were doing something wrong. And it was all by design. So at first you're just like, motherfucker, why would you fuck with me like that? And I'm sure there are people who still got through the lesson part and we're still mad. But as you keep going, he starts talking about how this is designed, this whole thing is designed to force you to look at things a different way and really, really shift your, we keep saying it, but really, really shift your perspective on things and look for other solutions and look at other ways to look at the problem. And it's just like how, while your problems are valid, what it always comes down to is that maybe you're stuck in these problems because you haven't shifted your perspective on what problem it is that you're looking at. And for me, at least, I don't know how you felt about this, but like that really, really fucking hit close to home for me. Because I was just like, because it was, it kind of got brought up a little bit, not to get too personal, but a little bit while we were at the party, if you don't mind me talking about it a little bit. And it was kind of what opened me up a little bit to the idea was that I had Brendan do my tarot card reading for me at this Halloween party that we were at, just because it kind of hit me a little hard. So I was just like, I have kind of been stuck in one way of looking at things. And I've had this like one idea for how I approach almost everything. But that hasn't totally been working. Like, I'm doing fine. Things are good, but it's just like, there's still things I want to do. And it's just maybe a bit of a perspective shift on things would have helped. So Brendan offered at this party and I was just like, fuck it. Yeah, why not? And it just like, I won't say that Brendan saw into my future and told me what was going to happen. Because as also I explained, that's not necessarily what tarot is for.
Not what it's about.
More than anything, he just kind of told me things that I was just like, yeah, okay. But I don't know, this game kind of, it was very illuminating in a lot of ways. A lot more than I thought what I had originally set out as like just a goofy puzzle game was going to be. But it ended up like, and normally for something like that, that's very hit or miss in terms of like having a big overall like life lesson at the end of like video games, movies, books in general. Like the moment that I'm like, oh, you're trying to teach me something? Get the fuck away from me. But with this one, I found myself finishing the game and just walking and like just kind of feeling it like in my chest. Like I know that this is a game made by people who I've never fucking met, but I was like, this game is kind of talking to me right now.
It's like a heart to heart.
It felt very, very personal to me.
Yeah.
Which was the big reason why I'm like, it's one of my favorites, because I was just like, this. I'm not trying to oversell this or be dramatic for the podcast. I sort of got, but I think this. I think this game changed me a little bit. Like honestly, like it did something for my own general perspective in life. Like honestly, like it did something for me. I don't know what, and I don't know how they did it, but thank you, because apparently I needed it without even realizing it. But I think that's goes into the point too with like the perspective change and whatnot. Is that sometimes you don't even know. You just kind of need to look at it in a different way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would echo all of those sentiments.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that I was like, really changed, but it was definitely like a good reminder, I would say, about just, hey, it's okay to like not get something on your first try or like, be stuck with a problem. It's okay to just take a step back and shift your perspective about it, and just rethink it. But yeah, no, that whole ending, I mean, that cinematic ending.
It's just so gorgeously done. And just so well done with the mechanics of the game. You essentially find yourself walking yourself like back through the montage of like the different areas you've been in the game. And it's cut like it's in, like you would see that moment in a movie. But, and like you're still in control of the movement, and you would think like that would be kind of headachy or a little like wonky to view, but it's just, it works so clean for some reason.
So good.
It's so well done. Sorry, I want to look at something in my old notes here real quick because I want to shout them out because I had it in here.
Yeah, no.
And I totally forgot to print it out. But no, not that one. Damn it. On the fly shit, guys. Sorry. Here we go.
It's okay. Just change your perspective.
Oh, yeah, there we go. We're good. Everything's fine now. One of these days you're going to say it to me like that, and I'm just going to turn around and hit you.
I know.
How's that for a perspective shift, you fuck? Just wanted to give a shout out to them because we already mentioned it before. So the game is by developers Pillow Castle Games. The game director is, I'm very, very sorry. I'm gonna fuck up your last name, sir. I'm very white. I'm very sorry. It's Albert Shih. Shih. S-H-I-H. She, I think might be. I think you were right.
She.
Maybe. So sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I swear to God, I'm really not trying to. Level designer is Logan Feith, I think is how you would say that
Feith
one.
or Fife?
Feith or Fife, one of the two. And then the game was written by Will O'Neill. That would be like, that's like the main like creative team for it. And just to kind of say at the end here, just holy shit, you guys, like fuck.
Wow.
I don't know.
Y'all did that.
I don't know how you guys did that. Like there's some games you play and you kind of go like, okay, I know the steps on how like we got here, like on a grand scale, like society wise, yes, but even like in like a localized history of games like Dead Space, I know how we got to Dead Space, like through like things like other games like Resident Evil or like in other things like the Alien franchise and whatnot. Like you could see the track marks on how we got there. Other than as a reference point, like something like Portal, I don't know how you come up with something like this and execute it as well as this game was done.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, again, like I said at the beginning, this is all this episode was going to be. It was just throwing praise at this fucking game.
We're going to have to start putting disclaimers at the beginning of all of our episodes where it's like, we're just going to be talking about how good this game is. No substance, really. Just, this is a good game. You should play it.
We're not ever going to do the episode. We're not ever going to do an episode that's like, yo, this one fucking sucks.
No. Why would we spend our time doing that? That's silly.
What kind of a monster would dedicate their career to just shaming and shitting on something? That's awful. I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but there's enough of you fuckers out there that's all you do. We need criticism, but like, relax sometimes, you know? Some things are just fun.
You should just change your perspective about
That's it. Maybe your perspective is just wrong.
So you should change it.
Yeah, just change it. It wasn't a very open-minded perspective. Just realizing that wasn't the best way to...
It's fine.
Approach that. But yeah, and it's just like, just to kind of touch again a little bit more about like the story and the ending for the game, it's just like, it's so heartfelt.
Absolutely.
And you feel like it comes from such, I don't know, it really feels like it comes from a very real place.
It's a really honest place.
It's a very honest place where that idea comes from. Because it feels like something that, and again, I would love to, this is another one where it's just like, some way fucking somehow, I would love to talk to anybody from this team who worked on this fucking game. That would be so goddamn cool.
So tag them in the comments.
Please do it. Come on, do it, please, guys. Come on. This one especially, I would love to talk to any of these guys.
Oh, man.
But it's just like, and that idea, just like, I don't know where it came from, but just like having the idea of like, what if we did something based on like depth and how we view things like that in our perception, things like that. And then that lesson kind of came to them as they were going through it. Or if like it was, I want to do something about how we perceive things and I want that to translate into these mechanics as a game and whatnot. Yeah. I would just love to see how that works out. But however you fucking did it, like, holy shit. And more people need to know about this game too. Because no one else I talk to is like, even like gamers who seek out like random shit like this. They're like, oh, yeah, I saw it or I kind of heard about it. Or they're like, I have no fucking idea.
To be fair, I will say this. The thumbnail of the game, like in the Game Pass, is one that I would think that like 9 out of 10 gamers would just skip over and not give a second glance.
Because they were just going to go, oh, is it some weird like chess game? Like, what the fuck is
Right. And I think even... I don't know. I think I'm pretty open-minded when it comes to, like, checking a game out and being like, what the heck is this? And, like, at least watching the trailer and, like, getting a feel for it before I just go, no, I'm not going to fucking look at that, you know? But I could very easily see me being the 1 out of 10 players that do that as opposed to everybody else who can just from the thumbnail go, I know I'm not going to like or play that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, however, though, as someone who normally just, like, goes through and goes, like, I don't want to fucking play that. I don't want to fucking play that. It looks stupid. I am now going to go the other route and just start looking at games on there. Because what other gold have I been fucking missing out on?
Yeah.
By just passing over because I look at the poster and I go, that doesn't look like it's going to be for me.
Plus, you know, we like lengthier games too. At least in our history, you know, we play games with like lots of hours that are needed to play through them. So maybe we need to be open to more narrative-based shorter games.
Yeah, and I mean for me
Smaller
that's
experiences.
Yeah, I mean for me that's kind of a yes and a no. Like I'm more in the camp of like whatever time you need to tell your story in your game, like that's the time you need. Like if you're a Final Fantasy and you need 130 hours, That's what you need. Sometimes I don't think even a Final Fantasy needs that much fucking time to tell their story, but that's just me personally. But like, you know, I'm also a Halo guy, so I'm like, if you only need like 8 hours, fucking go for it. Even like a Portal game, like you can burn through a Portal game in like 3 to 4 hours. Like once you get the mechanics done, you know what's happening. That game takes 3 or 4 hours long at the fucking most.
I want to watch a Portal speedrun now.
Oh, they're probably nuts.
That's probably nutty. Yeah.
I've been getting more into watching speedruns on my own too. There they are, fun and infuriating because I'm just like,
absolutely.
you fucking kidding me? I hate it, but
you son of a bitch.
Hate it in the way I love it. I just watched a Metal Gear Solid 2 speedrun of a dude, and it's not not even like no like level skips or glitches or anything like that. He just runs through the game, and I'm just and I'm just watching spots where I would always get stuck, and I'm just like, I'm gonna scream. So that's all. I had to click in and out of the fucking box real quick. That's all I gotta do. Fuck this.
Anyways, getting back to Superliminal.
Yes, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's our podcast. We can do what we want.
Do what the fuck we want.
Getting back to Superliminal, though, this is the first and only game from Pillow Castle? Pillow Castle.
Yeah, Pillow Castle.
Pillow Castle games. Sorry. But I really hope that we can see more in the future from them. I would love to see an anthology of games in this vein, sort of just bite-sized, experiential games. Could you imagine?
Just more levels in this. That's all. Just give me more shit in this, and I'd be fucking happy with that being all that Pillow Castle does. Although, obviously, we want them to expand and do more stuff.
Of course.
Yeah, I noticed that too when I went to their site. I was just like, cool, let's learn about these developers. What else have they done? Okay.
This is the first one.
I mean, listen, if all Da Vinci did was paint the fucking Mona Lisa, what else do you need to do?
Probably a lot more.
I mean, look, a lot more, but if that was it, still, that's fucking amazing. Like,
Is it?
yeah. What I'm saying is that I want more for Pillow Castle games, but if as a company this is the one thing that Pillow Castle Games does, it is still a triumph and incredible and worthy of so much respect.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it just the last thing I had in the outline for the episode today, I literally just put, I love this game.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I was thinking like, what else do I want to say about this? And it's kind of it. I love this game, man.
Absolutely. We talk about a lot of games on here, and about all of them, we're pretty much like, you should play this game. You must play this game. It's so amazing. Oh my god. But like this one especially, it's like 3 hours. It's free on the Game Pass right now. You really have no reason not to play it. Treat yourself.
Yeah. I feel like especially for us, just speaking for us personally, you can tell me if I'm wrong on this, but like for something very new to us to kind of come into our view, and at least for me to kind of hit this hard and kind of become this much of a favorite so quickly, it's a little bit rare. Because at least for the most part, most stuff we talk about is like stuff from like 10 plus fucking years ago.
Yep.
You know, it's the Mass Effects, it's Outlast, it's stuff, it's Zelda, it's stuff like that, you know? We don't do a lot of like, and this was 2019 when this game came out. But like, there's not a lot of, not that it's bad out there, it's just like, you know, we're creatures of habit and stuck in our ways.
That was very nice, thank you.
I included us both in this, all right?
No, it could have been
worse.
worse.
Blaming you.
No, it could have been worse.
Okay. Could have been much meaner, you're right. But for somebody just to pop in and for both of us to be like, holy shit, this game fucking blew me away. You know, take our opinion as what you will and what value that has in your lives. But like, at least for me, that says something. Because this game just, it fucking blew me away.
I agree.
And I don't know how many more ways I can say that, because I think I've said that 12 different ways now already, but just, yeah. Play this game, man. It's so good. It's such a wonderful game. Thank you guys so much for listening to our episode on Superliminal. We really hope you enjoyed this shift in perspective, as it were. And please tell us what you thought about the game if you got to play it, or if there's any other perspective shifting puzzle games out there that we need to try out. Let us know.
Absolutely. As always, you can send us an email at 3VOpodcastteam@gmail.com. You can say hey to us. You can give us a suggestion for a topic to cover. You can give us a game to play. You can tell us about your pets. That's fine too. But you can communicate to us through that email. You can also find us everywhere at 3VO Podcast. We're on all of the social medias, including TikTok. And you can follow us and you can interact with us. So please do so. And also just tell a friend of yours today about our podcast, because the more people that we can get out there too, then the more stuff that we can start to do over here. We would love to maybe get some more equipment and maybe get some adequate lighting and things like that. So if you can just do your part and spread the word. If you'd like to see us be successful with this podcast and grow it, we would love to have you come along with the ride. So please tell people.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.